Yeah. Again, like, this is, I don't want to put the tournament itself down too much, but again, this is a weekly, so Zest, he can learn from this so that he can make sure that, you know, when it comes to something like GSL Super Tournament or DreamHack Last Chance Tournament, like there, he can really kind of come out with a little bit more of a refined build, maybe a more, you know, thought out play style, and then he can really show off there.
Oh, even TSL.
Even TSL, I forgot about TSL, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of options here. It's a good time to be a Zest fan. Well, I mean, not right now where he just got reverse swept by Rogue, but I mean in general.
In
you know,
general, yeah.
the coming weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy. And with that, we are going to be getting into our grand finals for the evening. Our second or third, something along those lines, ZVP. We're in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, swinging all the way to the bottom right-hand corner of Def Aura LE. We have the Red Zug player coming down from South Korea, surviving the match point, taking a reverse sweep, and overall just what's the word I'm thinking of here, like just ending things off with that game number 5. I'm still not over it. Representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG, we have Rogue.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Afrika Freaks. It is Stats.
Did you for a second forget Stats was Korean?
For a moment there, I blanked out on what I was going to say first, and then I was like, you know what? Yeah, he's from South Korea.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, true is from South Korea. Yeah. There you go.
He was in America for a while, but yeah, now he's in South Korea doing the military service thing.
Hopefully he can be one of those returning players that we've seen so much of this year, next year. It'd be great to see.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And here we are in the grand finals, and again, Stats did finish up his semifinals a little bit sooner compared to Zest versus Rogue, so I'm sure he tuned in, whether it was to Maddox's stream or into the Inu stream, and was able to see at least that final game on Jagannatha.
And yeah, we'll see if he takes any notes down. Well, as you said, he did take down some notes, but that was more about Zest rather than himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So again, we'll see if Stats plays this out a little bit differently. I'm looking forward to, as much as I love these Stargate openers and the way that Zest was putting them off, I'm looking forward to see Stats put his own spin on things.
Oh, without a doubt. I don't think we're going to be seeing the same Void Ray Oracle style, especially because Stats, I mean, he is known for going multiple Oracles. Usually 2, but every now and then goes to 3.
Yeah, that was his go-to style, you know, around DreamHack Fall, DreamHack Winter. The triple Oracle opener was very, very popular with Stats. But again, as metas shift, of course, he is one to shift with the meta as well. He isn't exactly stubborn, as he is going in with this Adept, looking to scout, maybe harass a little bit.
Yeah, but we'll have to be content with the scouting.
Yeah, and going for the Oracle first.
Nicely done.
Yeah, compared to someone like Zest, who very commonly went for the Void Ray first, you know, just to deny that vision. So we'll see, again, if Stats goes for this single Oracle into a Void Ray, if he goes double or triple.
You know what? I'm going to say triple.
Oh.
I'm feeling it this time.
Okay. Yeah. I like it. Never mind.
It's double.
So far we only see one Oracle coming out here for Stats, and we'll see what he does from here. Again, he doesn't have to go for a second Stargate like Zest has been doing so commonly. If he so wishes, he can go straight into a Twilight Council from here.
Yeah, it's not a very committed Stargate opening here, the single Oracle.
Yeah, we shall see. As so far, you know, Stats, he's just poking and prodding at the edges of the bases, and
Yeah, surprisingly not diving into a main base or anything like that. So I guess he's content with the scouting that he got done earlier with the Adept. Saw just about whatever he needed to, and now is focusing a little more on getting damage done and keeping his bases alive. Yeah, Rogue not quite going for that third base. I was worried for a sec.
Yeah, Rogue does back off. Meanwhile, we have the second Stargate on the way. So I'm really curious to see how what his approach is, because the common approach is what we saw Zest do. It's when you go for +1, when you go for the Forge, when you go for the Twilight Council for your charge lots. There are some people who decide to skip that. Oh my god, just barely got out. But there are some players who like to skip that and go straight into a Templar Archives. We saw Zest, he committed heavily when it came to the gateways, when it came to his composition. So we'll see if Stats does the same.
I feel like Stats might just say, you know what, I'm gonna do what Zest did, but I'm gonna do it better.
What does that mean though? Like, I would like it if Stats played like Zest, except committed less to the gateways, got a 4th base up and running sooner, and on a map like Death Aura, it's so much easier to get up to 4 bases.
Yeah, that's how you do it better.
Well, I mean, which is why I believe Stats was able to do so on this map, when it comes to establishing a 4th and, getting your air army a little bit stronger. Like, I feel like Zest was really able to accomplish that on this map.
Yeah, that is something to keep in mind. As the series went on, Zest just was unable to get a 4th base up more and more. But, yeah, in Death Aura, as you said, there's a lot more defensibility. The bases are kind of packed tight together, nice and snug in a corner, and that's an Oracle trying to get some damage done. I thought for sure to get a couple more drones, but forced it back away.
Yeah. If you recall, this was the map where Zest had like just beautiful defense, where he really showed off with his storms, with his stasis wards, like walling off here at the ramp as well. It was where we really considered, where it was basically the map where Zest applied to be an Agent of Shield. Like that was at the forefront of his application. So we'll see how Stats can compare.
Yeah, kind of like the first thing he put on his resume.
Exactly.
Just ignore all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so both players just continuing to build up more and more. Rogue is going for this Hydra style to sort of counter the Stargate play, and I'm gotta be honest with you, Light, I'm worried for Stats right now, because Rogue, he's warmed up, he's played against this 5 games in a row, or 4 games in a row, sorry, and it took a bit of a break in game number 5, but yeah, he's ready. He is warmed up, he's got his muscle memory down to play against the Stargate.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that Rogue is playing differently as well. Like, his Valiantness is a lot later. He opted not to get +1 melee. Instead, he's going straight into +1 range as well. So his commitment to Hydras is going to be so much more stronger this game.
Yeah, we'll see if that really catches Stats off guard, or if it doesn't.
Yeah,
we'll see how many gateways he throws down is going to be the thing.
Yeah, again, like, it does mean that the Zealots are going to be a little bit stronger. They're going to be able to survive against the Ling Bane a little bit longer as well. So we shall see how Rogue engages here. We'll see if he even wants to try and break Stats on 4 bases, or if he decides to, be more of a defensive Zerg and wait for Stats to push into him.
And so far not being too active, not, utilizing as many run-bys as he did against Zest. Which, again, we are on Death Aura. It's a little harder to get value out of that, so Rogue, he might just be thinking, alright, I'll keep my Zerglings alive, and then can turn them into Banelings, or use them later on. Yeah. Actually pushing out.
He is pushing out, but again, he does back off as well. He spots the army. Meanwhile, Stats does spot the expansion from Rogue. And no Banelings.
Yeah, no Banelings here with this army. A little bit surprised that Stats didn't decide to just bunch up his army and go into that, but then again, Hydras are already set up in a concave.
Yeah, definitely. Stats decides to turn back, deals with the Adept first to begin with, and meanwhile we already see Stats going into that Fleet Beacon. Again, not committing anywhere near as much into those gateways as Zest did, and now that he's got 4 base economy, like, Stats, like, he's looking pretty good here in game 1.
Now is the time for the carriers. Rogue getting a little bit of a quicker hive this time. Once again, going to be utilizing those infestors, pathogen glands being taken pretty early.
Oh.
So if Stats are careful, one bad engagement with some very well-placed microbial droughts can absolutely be the end of that.
Yeah, what I will say is, especially on this map, we saw it before, hopefully Rogue waits for the Infestors and fights together with his Hydras before all the Hydras get stormed down.
Yeah, fingers crossed. The stats, he's already making his way onto the map, turns around.
Oh. Yeah, he was just clearing some overlords, you know, then deciding to back off. Meanwhile, going for a bit of a zealot run by over on the left-hand side, does run into the Lings of Rogue.
In the end, they about equalize there. Not much links left from that. Is this my game?
I mean, while we have more zealots being sent again, you know, that's not stopping with that harassment. And again, he's just buying time because he's slowly working on that carrier camp. The initial 3 coming out just now.
Yeah, and stats, I mean, to be fair, he's pretty close to being maxed out, but Rogue, he's already maxed out.
Yeah, and interestingly, we have Neural Power Site being researched.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the cherry on top for the Zerg player.
Yeah, it's important to note that that is an upgrade that he did not get in his series against Zest, even the one where he did go for Infestors. So, yeah, already deciding to switch things up and, even throws down an Ultra Cavern.
Which he did get in this series against Zest, funnily enough. Fortunately, was not able to be utilized yet, but...
Yeah. Unfortunately, and yeah, it's like Stats, he's just posturing with this small army here and there wherever he can, just trying to deny as much creep. Like, again, this is Stats' like win condition. He just wants to defend until he gets his mothership, until he gets his Sky Toss up and running.
Yeah, but the question then is, would it be too late? I mean, let's look at the composition Rogue has got right now. How many Infestors is he? No Infestors and he's maxed out.
Yeah.
There's no Infestors. He's maxed out.
Yeah. Like, this is pretty bad for Rogue. Like, Rogue needs to clear supply. Not just for Infestors, but, like, ideally you clear supply, you get a Spire, you get, like, a mixture of Hydras and Corruptors as well. Rogue needs to make something happen before his army gets, like, out-teched in a way.
Yeah, we're maxing on links.
Yeah, he didn't make any Infestors. Like, he invested in all the Infestor upgrades.
He threw away those Lings, and I thought, oh, this is because he wants to get those Infestors up or something, but no, he's just remaking them now.
Oh my god. Hopefully we don't end up in a situation where, like, Stats pushes out, we have a big fight, and, like, Rogue just loses everything, and then he just doesn't make any Infestors, period.
Got remax, yeah. That would not be too ideal for our Red Zerg player.
Oh, that's all Banes.
This is a massive run by, though. It's a lot of Banes, and they will be able to take out the cannons over here. Entire mineral line should just about go down. Ooh. Like so. Oh, that was the wrong time to mineral walk, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, there was another Ling run by, but it does get taken out. Oh, the Banes are going for the 4th. Oh, God.
Oh, and it could manually detonate. No, they do not, but they still, funnily enough, do some damage as they die over there. Nexus is so low, Nexus is gonna go down. No! 6 health.
6 HP. Oh my god. Rogue with all the run bys. You know what? He finally did it. He cleared up a bunch of supply. All the Lings, all the Banes went down, and now he can make his Infestors and Ultras.
10 of them on the way. Absolutely what I want to see. And now, I mean, Stats, he's got his mothership out. It's just a little too late.
We'll see. I mean, again, he's trying to pull apart his opponent. He has a Zealot run by over on the right-hand side. He's pushing in here to the south.
Yeah, starting to get dealt with. Massive fungal here on top of the mothership. Funnily enough, not much anti-air left.
The High Templar.
High Templar all taken out by the Ultras.
Oh my god,
and now... Oh, there was still a couple left.
Yeah, they were in the War Prism. He saved 2 High Templar in the War Prism. He does storm on the army, just barely manages to push Rogue away.
Now these Infestors, they are very low energy. Still has enough for a couple of fungals and 1 Microbial Shroud. That's a decent-ish fungal. Okay,
but you know what? There are a lot of Archons coming in to back up this army as well. So again, it's not just the carriers here for Stats. Oh.
Well, it's just the carriers that were fungal. There, the interceptors have just about been taken out. But I tell you what, like, Microbial Shroud, that helps a lot against the versus air damage. Not so much against the ground damage. But the Archons, they are starting to get taken out.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if this was the best choice. A bunch of High Templar were warped in, not Zealots, and they don't have any energy for Storm.
That they do not. Stats, he's really just trying to buy himself a couple of seconds here as these Templar get the energy for Storm, but they do get flanked by the Zerglings.
Oh my god, yeah, the Lynx, they just killed like, what, 5 High Templar for free? Now the Hydras are moving on forward. GG gets called.
Rogue gonna be taking game in number 1. Stats, I want to say a little too passive that game.
I mean, he was being... passive, I think, is the right word, because I don't think defensive would have really done it justice, because of that massive Ling Bane run by did so much damage to Stats, essentially forcing him all in, forcing him to push out across the map. And unlike Zest, like, Stats didn't have like a big wall defending his third or his fourth, or any stasis wards from his oracles.
Yeah, I mean, he did lose quite a bit to those last couple of run bys, but in the end, I think it really does come down to the fact that Stats wanted to have a maxed out army with these motherships, or with the mothership, sorry, and with all these carriers. When Rogue, he noticed that. He realized that Stats was going to take a while to build up his army, so he was just getting his economy up, making sure that he got the correct tech. And in the end, it came down to that one final engagement where it really does show that Microbial Shroud can make a difference.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, he had plenty of Microbial Shrouds to use, even to the point where he was able to keep the minimal amount of like Hydras alive. There were like, what, 6 Hydras towards the end, but it was just enough to push Stats away, like, because he had so little left.
So I'm nodding my head in agreement there. So again, we'll see if Stats is going to switch things up here. I do feel like it's kind of on him to realize, okay, Stargate ain't really gonna work. At least not now against Rogue. So I honestly do expect to see a bit of a different opening here, and a different unit composition as the game goes on. But again, we shall see if that comes to pass, as we are now on Oxide LE. We be breathing. And this player up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the top right-hand corner of the map, he's breathing easy as he continues to oxidize. He is the Red Zerg player coming out from Korea, taking that game number 1 after having a little bit of a close semifinals. He's already warmed up, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. DPG, we have Rogue.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Team Afrika Freaks. It is Stats.
Okay. So I feel like Stats, he can still open with the Stargate here, but I mean, it's gotta do something a little different with it. Maybe Phoenix? No, it can't be Phoenix. Rogue is already gonna be prepared for that.
Sure. I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that opener once again. Like, it obviously can work, and it has worked against Rogue in the past. The problem is, like, as you said, Stats was kind of committed to this like big attack where he had to like do something, and in the end, like, he didn't really push far enough to really get on top of any bases, deal any economic damage. Like, he was all in essentially at that point because of all the damage he sustained earlier. Does he feel confident enough where he feels like he knows the mistakes that he made and he can just refine and do better, or does he decide to abandon that strategy and go for something else instead? Like, that's kind of the question before Stats right now. Because I do think that like he can execute that better if he like was on point, but like, does he want to risk that against Rogue?
And yeah, I mean, I have no idea what Stats is thinking right now. He might just be feeling the same way, but I don't know. I feel like I would like to see something a little bit different being thrown down here by Stats. Yeah,
I think what's important to note is that Rogue has essentially gone up against a variant of that build, like, what, 6 games in a row now? Again, like, he's really feeling more and more comfortable every single time. So that's also another thing to factor in, but we'll see, because so far we do have a Stargate opening once again coming out from Stats. It doesn't indicate the same kind of opener and build. So it doesn't indicate like the same army composition and build from Stats, but so far the opener is the same.
Yeah, it's never too late to transition into more of a, say, a Robo Gateway style, for instance. Could just be open them up with a Void Ray to clear out these Overlords, for example, and then building into more of a Soul Train push.
Yeah. Or he could just do the same thing, and again, like, try to refine it and try and execute it a little bit more perfectly if he can. And which is possible, you know, it's all up to stats. Like, how is he feeling right now?
That's what we got to be thinking. Does open with the Oracle first this time.
Okay. He did the same in the previous game as well. But bearing in mind, with that initial Oracle, it's not like he was unable to find too much damage across the map.
Oh yeah, probably got a lot more than it should have. That's a quick Roach Warren coming up from Rogue.
That is a quick Roach Warren, mate. We saw it against Zest, right? Rogue, he's not afraid to switch things up and be the aggressor instead. Just because you're a Zerg player doesn't mean you have to react to everything your opponent's doing. You can still decide to dictate the pace of the game, and against Zest, it was a massive Link Flood. Against that, it's a much faster Roach Warren.
We'll see what this can get done. I mean, it might be a case where Rogue is anticipating a Glaive build. I mean, can't really blame him. That was Stats' build before it was Zest's build, but yeah, we'll see if he utilizes that Roach Warren in some kind of offense here. And honestly, it can get quite a bit done.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, investing into a Roach Warren as well, that could also help Stats if Stats wants to go for a more Void Ray heavy composition.
Yeah, it all depends. The Forge as well as the Twilight Council. Nothing else being built here from the Stargate. Stats switching things up, should be going for more of a Gateway army this time.
Yeah, definitely, especially since he only has one Stargate. Typically, by now, we would have seen a second Stargate thrown down to commit a little bit harder to the Void Rays. Instead, this doesn't necessarily mean charge lots. If Stats wanted to, he could go into like +1 Blink Stalkers.
That's a really possibility. Getting so much more drones. It is now 47 against 29 workers. Rogue, he's up in bases, but he can't quite utilize it.
He's quote-unquote up in bases because Stats is looking to get his third as well, and these Lings are gonna try and deny it, but again, the SimCity is good with these Adepts, and Rogue, he's all in at this point. He's waddling across the map.
Sending everything over Stats' way right now, and I am a little bit worried for Stats right now. If he chooses to fight in the third base location, then he doesn't quite have the defenses up, at least not on par with the natural base.
Yeah,
so we'll see, does he just throw down more shield batteries, or does he sack it?
I mean, he finally confirms that the push is coming. He sees all the Queens waddling across the map. Is it too late, though? We do see Stats is investing into Blink and +1, and okay, he's evacuating the third base. He's like, hey, you can have that. I'm just going to throw down all my shield batteries at the natural.
Yeah, you notice he can't quite keep that up. Ooh, I do like that he's focusing on these Ravages, making sure the Corrosive Bios can't get any damage done, can't clear up any force fields either. So Stats is just trying to make this defense as easy on him as possible.
Yeah, again, he's just buying time right now, making sure that he wastes as much time as possible on that third base location. Meanwhile, we do have 2 shield batteries finishing up. Blink and +1 are not going to be ready for this.
Yeah, unless somehow Rogue decides not to do anything for a while and not push in.
Yeah, we'll see right now. He's just biling whenever he can. Oh, some wasted force fields, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Stats, he kind of misclicked over there. I feel like he was trying to get a couple of those Ravages trapped on top of the ramp. But in the end, I mean, Rogue, he doesn't even waste any biles on them. He knows that there will be wasted force fields.
Yeah, exactly. He's just transfusing the Ravagers anyway, keeping them just barely alive. Only a couple of transfuses left for Rogue, and Blink and +1 are so close to finishing up.
Oh, Stasis Ward? No, Cybernetics Core stays alive thanks to that battery overcharge. Oh, it's so important right now.
Exactly. If that falls, then... Yeah, if that falls, that's the end of the Stalkers for Stats, and he knows that he's just rebuilding the Cybernetics Core in his main.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. Zealots, I mean, they're not really going to do too much against this army. Blink did finish up, and so did +1. Pretty good force fields here, but there are plenty of corrosive vials available right now. GG is called, as Rogue unable to really put a dent into the defensive Stats there. Stats really saying, that is how it's done, Zest.
Exactly. Oh my god. Rogue, he tried to go for that all-in, and he just couldn't break the Shield of Ire.
No, he could not. And with that, we're tied up 1-1 in this best of 5.
Yeah, that we are. Rogue risking things a little bit, going for that big all-in. when a player does something like that, I feel like maybe it's a map thing. He just didn't want to play out on Oxide, and he's like, you know what, win or lose, like, I just want to get through this.
Yeah, I feel like it was that. I mean, I'm not sure how Rogue is necessarily feeling an Oxide, but there are a lot of games that I've seen from Rogue in the past where he does decide to go for a quick little victory where,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's a link flood or what have you. But yeah, especially compounded with the fact that Stats was able to take out so many drones that early on. I feel like Rogue just sort of decided, you know what, better to abandon ship, see if I can take the victory, but if not, then, you know, no big deal. But with that, we are going to be continuing here onto Lightshade LE. We're in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. The Red Zerg player coming out for Korea. He is trying to crack the shield, but honestly, best bet is to go around it, as we've seen. Representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG, we have Rogue.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Team Afrika Freaks, currently tied up 1-1 in this best of 5. It is Stats.
All right, so we see from Stats, you know, switching up his builds a little bit here and there. But yeah, now game number 3, don't really expect him to do anything. I don't really expect him to do anything drastically different.
Well,
Just, you know.
yeah, honestly, I was looking forward to see him go for that Twilight Council into Blinkstalker +1. Again, that's something that Darkness used to do a lot back when he was competing during around DreamHack Winter. It's something that Pez has been doing a lot as well. I don't know if you got to see Demi C weekly, but every single game Pez went for that Blinkstalker +1 build, and yeah, I was looking forward to see Stats really get into it, but yeah, due to that all he had to do was defend to win that game.
And that's exactly what Stats wants.
True. Oh god. So now we'll see if Rogue does something more aggressive here, just like in the previous game, or if he decides, you know what, all right, I'm gonna calm down, I'm just, you know, macro this out and be a little bit more reactive instead.
Yeah, that we'll see. And honestly, I feel like that's what Rogue does generally prefer, at least in a ZVP. He does, typically anyway, open up fairly safe. I mean, last game and that final game against Zest was a little bit of the outliers, but yeah, Rogue, he really just wants to be secure in his opening and just react to whatever he's able to scout.
Oh yeah, and speaking of scouting, we'll see if he manages to see this, because for the first time since the semis and in the finals, we don't have a Stargate opening.
Can you believe that Patience was the player who didn't go for the Stargate opening so far in the tournament? Now Stats joining him.
Exactly. Now
Y-axis.
Now Stats is whipping out that Y-axis, and we'll see what this is going to be for, as we do have the Twilight Council of the robot being thrown down. We'll see if this is going to be for something like Glaives, or if he just, you know, throws down a Dark Shrine behind this.
You know, the rational side of me is saying it's going to be Glaives, just based on, yep, there we go, Glaives. Just based on what we've seen in the past and how effective this opening is. But another part of me just really wants to say +1 charge. Let's go. +1 charge rush. Let's go. But yeah, that's not going to be the case here.
Yeah, we do have the Glaives opening, and we'll see how committed this is going to be, whether it's just a standard 4-gate Glaives, or if he throws down a couple more and goes for 6. And I'm also looking forward to the follow-up from this. So I imagine Rogue is a good enough player where he's not going to he shouldn't take too much damage from this. But from here, there are a couple of different transitions, right? You can go into Disruptor drops, as we saw. I believe it was it Patience, or was it Zest who went for something like that?
It was Patience.
Yeah, sorry, it was Patience. Or you can go into like a more Soul Train-esque composition where you go into Immortals and Sentries. Or you can just throw down a Dark Shrine. Like, there are options for Stats.
Indeed, there are. Especially when you go for what seems to be the 4-gate variety. You know, again, oh no, the 6-gate.
Oh yeah, they're going to be a lot of adepts.
Yeah, it does delay the transition a little bit, but you know what? That's not the biggest deals here for the Protoss player. So long as you're able to get some damage done, so long as you make sure that, you know, you're not leaving yourself in too compromising a position.
Yeah, what's a little bit concerning is that Rogue did get an earlier Roach Warrant, so he has a bunch of Roaches on the way. He doesn't have too many Lings, which means he may struggle keeping up with all these Shades.
Yeah, and that is definitely going to be worrisome. More and more Adepts starting to get shaded in. I like that he's bringing the Spore forward, just to make sure that the Warp Prism can't get too much ground here.
Oof.
Oh, actually committing to that Shade.
Yeah, he commits to the Shade. A lot of these things are going to be going down. Forces all the drones off the mineral line.
Yeah, and again, not quite enough Roaches to really punish the Adepts. And the Warp Prism does actually make it out there. 7 drones going down.
Yeah, 7 drones do go down, and it's so important that Stats was able to keep that Warp Prism alive. If the Warp Prism went down, that would have been the end of the aggression for Stats. And yeah, it was so important of him to keep it alive. Meanwhile, more Adepts are warping in.
Yeah, shading pass here, takes out a Queen. And he is actually splitting up his Adepts very nicely. I mean, Rogue, he really has to decide, where do I want? Triple progging this!
Oh yeah, we got
this
Adepts.
Early on.
We got the Adepts on the third base, we got Adepts in the natural, and Adepts in the main.
Rogue, he's seeing so many shades, he has no idea where to hit. It's like his eyes are all over the place right now. Trying to keep track of it.
Exactly.
Keep track of it all.
As a result, there's no mining at the third, there's no mining at the main. Essentially, Rogue is on one base economy.
I feel like Rogue, he might just decide, you know what, I've had enough of this, and start moving across the map. I mean, he still has a very healthy Roach count here.
Yeah.
Get quite a bit done.
And again, the stats really showing off why 6-gate Adept is so much more of a commitment and so much more harder to deal with. There are just so many Adepts, and does he get out?
No, does Russia get out? Queen just barely off a creep, unable to catch up with that Warp Prism. And as you said, it's committed. And that's why it was so important that Stats keeps this many of his units alive.
Exactly. So important that he was able to keep the Warp Prism alive as well, because it does mean that he can just go across the map and continue to harass. Meanwhile, Rogue, his economy, he's, more or less equal when it comes to the worker count compared to Stats. But Stats, he's getting ready for the next push. He's working on his Immortals.
Indeed he is. Well, he knows that, Rogue is going to be trying to go for a counterattack, so not going to be, not going to be turning himself too thin here. Not trying to go for another expansion, but yeah, nice and solid defense.
Yeah, so far so good. Stats, he's attempting to establish his third base. He's also harassing across the map, but there are plenty of Roaches here in position.
Yeah, one Adept, let's go. Actually takes out a couple of drones.
Yeah, some decent damage for only a handful of Adepts. Meanwhile, these things, they managed to get a probe as well. So Rogue, what's important is that he does see the timing on that third.
Yeah, knows that he can't afford to just sort of rest on 3 bases for that much longer.
Yeah, definitely. And at the moment, Rogue is just working on his army. Massive waves of Lings coming out here from Rogue. He has cut worker production for quite some time. Meanwhile, Stats, he's been working on, one of those transitions we were talking about at Sentry Immortal.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be, in my mind, a bit more reliable against this army composition coming out from Rogue than those Disruptors. But of course, there comes to the caveat that Disruptors, they do massive damage.
Well, the thing is that, this Immortal is going to get caught out, and Stats, he has to realize that Rogue, he's very committed to this. He cut worker production a long time ago. Stats, he's ahead in that worker count. He has to make sure he doesn't get surrounded.
Zarmasic is so vulnerable over there, but does actually make it out. Only 1 shield battery in that third base location. Rogue splitting up his army, trying to go at 2 different locations, potentially going for another surround here. Lings actually make it through. The Biles don't quite land.
Yeah, they don't land. A lot of the Lings do get shaved off. Meanwhile, the Red Ravager, he's trying to push into the natural at the same time.
But a quick warp in will mean the end of that. And now Stats, there's only 1 front to worry about in a moment, but it's still a massive Ling Roach Ravager army coming out here for Rogue, piling his own units a little bit. That's funny.
Yeah, he does. Meanwhile, the Warp Prism is here to keep the Immortals alive as best he can, and it looks like Stats may have enough. Does he?
Rogue got outflanked.
Wow, he got outflanked. He gets
Rogue
surrounded.
Completely surrounded. 180. GG is called. Stats now a match point against Rogue. And you know what? Isaac Newton 2 in the chat. I wasn't with you there at first, but now I think your theory, I'm starting to believe it a bit more. Don't open Void Ray equal victory.
At least against Rogue. Rogue, he's comfortable against those more Sky-Toss heavy compositions. But here against 6 Gate Adept, it's also important to note that he didn't exactly scout all those gateways, so he wasn't aware how committed Stats was. And as a result, in the end, he was pulled apart by all those Adepts. Again, Rogue, he was missing out on a lot of links, so it was really hard for him to keep up with them, to really, you know, defend all his bases at once.
Yeah, I mean, once again, point from Isaac Newton, the multi-prong Adept harass coming up from Stats, that is very impressive. It's insane to do that early on.
Yeah, it's why, like, typically when you defend against Glaive Adepts, like relying on pure roaches isn't necessarily the best thing to do. Like Lings do have their own role in the defense as well when it comes to, you know, chasing down shades and making sure they're there to surround the Adepts. It's also important to note that Rogue, if he was like, maybe like, if his queens were a little bit more forward, if he had sniped that War Prism, if you recall how low it got, that just completely shuts it down.
Yeah, that would have had such a domino effect. I mean, I guess I won't go into it now because that's going to be a long rant. But here we are now on Romanticide. LE. LE, of course, standing for Lovers Ecosystem. Lovers Ecosystem, that's when you study the rainforests and you realize, yeah, there's a reliance here on, whatchamacallit. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Over here, in the bottom right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner, the Red Zerg player coming down from South Korea looks very impressive tonight. And honestly, I would not be surprised if he turns this around and does actually take the championship. But we'll see. He's got a bit of a tough opponent in front of him. Representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, DPG, we have Rogue.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Romanticide LE, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Team Afrika Freaks. It is Stats.
And now, yeah, he's on match point. One map to secure it now, and I feel like it's a little bit now on Rogue to, I don't know, because I don't want to say he has to do something different, right? Because he really doesn't. What he's doing is not bad at all. I mean, it's technically the right thing to do against somebody like Stats, where he's just, you know, being reactive and scouting what Stats is throwing at him. And we saw that when he did try to be a little bit more active and we did go for that big push in game number 2, it didn't quite work out. So, yeah, I guess it's more of a case of do what Rogue has been doing so far tonight, but
well,
just do it better? Question mark?
Yeah, you say that. It's one of those things where Stats, we all know him. We all know him as the Shield of Ire, right? Like, he is so good defensively. And the two games he's won are off of, like, Rogue being the aggressor, you know, where he really, like, you know, goes across the map, kind of all in, all or nothing, right? On Oxide, on the previous map as well. And I feel like that's what Stats wants, you know? Like, that's what he's comfortable against, right? Like, so that's why it's kind of odd to see Rogue go for those kind of, like, play styles against someone like Stats.
That is something to consider. You don't want to be playing into your opponent's strengths. You want to be denying it as best you can.
Yeah. Definitely. Stats is known as the most defensive Protoss player out of all the Protoss players in the world. You know, I mean, you could argue maybe, like, Showtime as well. Like, that's how he earned his own nickname, you know? But, yeah, like, Stats, he's the Shield of Ire for a reason.
What reason was that? No, it's because of his defensive play.
Oh, God. And we'll see what happens here as he's going for a Stargate opener. He's going for the Void Ray.
Yeah, pretty standard this time. Going back to, I wouldn't call it his roots, but going back to basics in this meta.
Yeah, definitely. As we see, once again, it is a Stargate, and he's following it up with an Oracle, so we'll see what he decides to do from here. If he goes for a double Stargate, you know, something that we've seen a lot from Zest, or from here if he just goes straight into a Twilight Council, which we have seen him do earlier in this series.
Yeah, I do feel like Sats is the one who has a lot more of his options. He is going to be the one who's taking more of an active role here. The pilot survives, but it's not going to be up for long.
Yeah, Stats forced to keep his Void Ray at home to defend. Meanwhile, 2 Adepts across the map looking to try and deal some damage.
Yeah, but they're going to have to be content with scouting information for now. Does see the Evo chamber. And, yeah, I mean, Rogue, he did do this quite a number of times against Zest. But now that it's been scouted, I have to wonder if he'll switch things up here for Stats or if he sticks with it, but we'll see.
Stats is finding some damage, man. Like, 5 worker kills?
Behind that queen. He flew right through it.
Yeah, like 5 worker kills, denied all that mining time at the 3rd base. That was pretty solid. I don't know if he was able to scout these things running across the map, but he does have a Void Ray here. Oh,
he did. The Oracle was following it.
Yeah. So he is able to push those away, and oh, okay, interesting. Stats, he's going double Stargate.
Okay. Is this a first for Stats? I remember game number 1, he went pre-Stargate maybe, but I don't remember if he immediately went to the double Stargate or he eventually transitioned into it.
Yeah, game 1 was double Stargate for Stats. It was the game that Rogue did take in this series. And again, like Rogue, he did already open up kind of the way he's been comfortable with against this style. So we'll see if Stats can do what Zest couldn't.
Yeah, we'll see if Stats can do what Stats couldn't.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, this is romanticized, so I do feel like it's going to be a bit reliant here on Stats being able to get that 4th base up and being able to sustain that that very expensive Skytoss army. Question is, will he wait for his mothership this time, or will he just say, you know what, I've got a decent carrier count, I've got decent upgrades, I'm just going to go on the map, not necessarily across the map, but go on the map and see if I can get anything done with this.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that has to be done against Rogue, against this style. Like, you can't just sit back and macro up, because Rogue takes full advantage of that. You need to be aggressive out on the map when it comes to run buys, when it comes to Warp Prism as well. Like, you need to do something to make sure Rogue isn't just left alone to just expand, drone up, and tech up.
Yeah, but then again, neither is... That's also not what you want right now for Stats if you're a Rogue. So he is still going to continue to be, you know, active on the map here with his run buys at least, trying to deny as much economy as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, we do have 6 gates being thrown down for Stats as well, you know, committing to make sure he has plenty of production for those Zealots.
And the answer is, not quite.
Yeah,
well, not yet, anyway, as he gets more gateways down.
Yeah, as, you know, he will have that available to him. Meanwhile, we have, you know, Hydras are on the way for Rogue again. We're just kind of ramping up when it comes to both players getting the armies that they want. And yeah, I'm just curious to see, like, when Stats decides to throw down something like a Fleet Beacon, or is he going to stay committed to a more ground-based composition as opposed to something like Zest?
You know what? He hasn't made any more Void Rays since these initial 2. I feel like he is just going to be committed, as you said, to a bit more of a ground-based army. At least for the time being. There's a Fleet Beacon.
Yeah, so I kind of like this. Something that I kind of criticized Zest for was it took him a long time to get his Stargate up and running, despite Rogue not being, like, overly aggressive. I say that, oh, Rogue does deny the 4th.
Yeah, it's a really nice delay over there. Army not quite in position to deny that. And of course, no site defense structures as of yet.
Oh, and Rogue does go in with his Overseer. He does spot the gateways going down, sorry, the Stargates going down, as well as the Fleet Beacon, so he is aware of the transition coming out here from Stats.
After that, he's doing everything he can to make sure that Stats can just stay on a low economy. Meanwhile, he is trying to just outmine Stats as much as possible, gets as many bases as he can.
Yeah, again, just keeping Stats busy at home, you know, with these Ling run-bys, again, just, you know, harassing Stats whenever he can, keeping him busy at home, and we just see, okay, more Lings in production for Rogue. I'm curious to see if he decides to throw down an Infestation Pit for some of those Infestors for the Microbial Shroud, if he gets a Spire, or if he just commits to this, like, Ling Bane Hydra.
I feel like Rogue is most comfortable with the Microbial Shroud Hydra style, so yeah, eventually he's probably going to be going for that. And I'm liking this from Stats. He is taking the defense of these bases very seriously. He realizes just how important it is that he gets a 4th base. So, you know, unlike Zest, he is not cutting corners whatsoever, getting those shield batteries, getting those cannons up to just make sure that he can keep this 4th base alive and running.
Yeah, definitely, as Rogue is trying to push in at the same time. There was a bit of a Baneling run by, but it doesn't get in.
Yeah, but these Banelings, no, they are trying to get in. Decent storms, but yeah, in the end, those Banelings not quite going down, and holy hell, is that 4th base gonna go down?
Oh, it goes down.
Does.
Oh, God.
Stats on the absolute back foot. He threw down so many structures there to keep that 4th base alive, but it was not to be in the end. Did manage to take out a decent amount of Rogue's army, but yeah, that was not the most important thing for Stats to be able to do.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely argue that like this base is a little bit more difficult to take as a Protoss player as it gets denied again.
Rogue not making this easy on Stats whatsoever.
Yeah, like again, this area, it's so open. It's so so much surface area is available for Rogue to go in with his Lings, with his Banelings, and now Stats he's just stuck on 3 bases.
Yeah, not even 3 bases if those Banelings have anything to say about it. They all got stasis.
Yeah, they're all just kind of chilling at the moment, frozen in time, so Stats should be able to clean them up. Meanwhile, as all this has been happening, you know, Rogue, he's got a 4th base, he's got a 5th base up, he's starting to work on his stack defense as well. Spores are going down, Spire is coming up, so Rogue, he's just been, you know, keeping Stats on the low economy, and he himself has just been teching up.
There's some serious deja vu vibes coming up to this game, like.
Oh yeah, same thing happened against Zest.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen Rogue do this before. But on the plus side, you know, Stats, he does have a decent carrier count out now, so yeah, maybe he might do something with it. One of these Archons finally going down.
Oh God!
Big bust on through! Those probes are so clumped up!
Oh my God, 5 probes do go down in the end, and
12 probes, make it.
Jesus.
Make it 12 probes, that's what.
And yeah, again, like Stats, he's just been forced to stay at home to defend, and even when it comes to the defense, he's been struggling.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where Rogue, he just needs to find one of these openings and just focus so much of his attention and his forces on that, that eventually he'll be able to get damage done. Stats, he is moving across the map now, to be fair. Absolutely what you want to see, and no yet he switched back immediately.
Oh God, everything's going down. 16 probes go down, everything here at the 3rd base, and now Stats is forced all in. He has to make something happen. He's on 2 base economy, mate.
Where have I seen this before, like?
To be fair, this army is quite scary, and he still has a decent amount of storms.
Yeah, he's got a lot of carriers. Rogue trying to get those Corruptors out, but not quite enough of them, and they do get stormed down. Is Stats actually gonna do it here? Double the army supply right now.
Yeah, he's forcing his way through.
It. And there we go. Stats did what Stats could not do. GG is called, and your ESL Open Cup Asia number 48 champion will in fact be Stats, putting him on 9 championships, I want to say. Mate.
Mate, GG, well played Stats. He knew the position he was in, or should I say, Rogue forced Stats to go across the map, forced him all in. So much economic damage was done, but it's important to note that was a lot of supply, that was a lot of Lings, that was a lot of Banes wasted there, hitting the 3rd and the 4th constantly, and that meant that there wasn't that much at home to defend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the stream catch up to that now, and yeah, that was a very heavy investment from Rogue. I mean, you know, the selling point for Zerg is, specifically with Zergling, is that, yeah, they're cheap and they're easy to get out in time, but Rogue spent so much of his economy on that. He was not quite at the position where, you know, he was banking up his resources, where he could start to afford to really throw away a supply like that.
Yeah.
He really could not afford to scramble the defense towards the end there, and yeah, Corruptor count was just low enough. The Spore Forest was more of a Singapore forest.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where Rogue, he had all this tech, like he had the Spire done, he had the Infestation bit done, but he didn't have any of those units out. Like he didn't have like his infestors, you know, Microbial Shroud. That's something that has helped him out so much against Zest, even against Stats. Like he just didn't have that ready, and he just couldn't contend with the army that Stats had.
No, he could not.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the worker count. Yeah. Rogue is up to 90 workers, and Stats has less than half of that. And he's just going in.
Well, he has less than half the worker count, but you know what? He has double the army count. May as well make use of that. Those are some brilliant storms too, actually. Corrupt is really standing in the thick of it for way too long.
Definitely. Oh my god, but GG, well played. Congratulations, Stats. He could do what Zest couldn't, what Stats himself couldn't in game number 1, and he takes out Rogue in the finals.
Yeah, Stats really proving Stats wrong here.
Take that, Stats.
I'm sure Stats, he's gonna feel real foolish now that Stats has shown that that's beatable.
Exactly. And as you said, he takes another win, a couple of EPT points, and a decent amount of cash money. Mate, what a run.
What a run. I mean, Rogue had a very impressive run himself. I mean, he was the first semifinalist. He blazed through the bracket and then had that reverse sweep against Zest, but Stats, the shield stands tall.
Yeah, we were very much so on the Rogue hype train. We followed him from the beginning of the tournament today. A quick shout out to Ryung, right? I know a lot of people weren't here for the beginning of the tournament, but Ryung, he signed up for the very first time in like competing in years. He's been streaming a lot, and I hope that he sticks with it. Again, like it's not 100%. Like, it's not 100% certain that he's back to competing regularly. Right now, he's just laddering. He's signing up because why not? But I would love it if Rogue came back. Sorry, if Ryung came back to competitive play.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, I mean, yeah, he has said multiple times, I'm not interested in becoming a pro player again, but we'll see how long that lasts, Ryung.
We'll see. I know that he still has that itch inside him. But with that, once again, congratulations to Stats, as that is the end of ESL Open Cup Asia number 49. But that isn't the end for us, at least for the rest of the week.
No, it is not. As tomorrow, around the same time, we will be back with qualifiers for DreamHack Last Chance, the Korean qualifiers at least. Don't quite have the ability to do all of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, to be fair, the only qualifiers for DreamHack this week are the Korean ones. So yes, we have the open qualifier tomorrow at 7 p.m. KST. As you can see on screen, that is in 21 hours. We'll be covering that here on this channel, and the closed qualifiers are on Thursday. So this is the beginning of the DreamHack final chance or last chance qualifiers. The NA qualifiers are next week, and I think the European ones are the week after. They are spread out quite nicely.
Yeah, do appreciate that. So a little bit of breathing room before you get the next event.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are a fan of StarCraft, if you enjoyed our casting, by the way, then make sure you hit that follow button, because we have plenty of StarCraft this week. Nowhere near as much as last week. Because of TSL, we literally had 2 broadcasts every single day except for Wednesday. I almost died on one of those days. Like, yeah, there was a lot of StarCraft on this channel, a lot of casting. I'm still editing the VODs. I'm gonna just head back to editing VODs after we end the broadcast today. Like, there's a lot to go through, there's a lot to sift through, but yeah, again, there's plenty of StarCraft here on this channel.
Yeah, we gotta be thankful for Dare Ice Coffee and Hot Six here. That's how we're going on.
That's what's fueling us right now. It's the Dare Ice Coffee, it's the Hot Six, it's the exclamation mark menu pug in the chat. But other than that, Yaku, my lovely co-caster, where can people find more of you?
That's the first time I've been called that.
It's true.
Co-caster, I mean.
I regret it already.
Twitch.tv/Yakuzaku1. I keep saying I'm gonna stream now that I'm on a school break, but yeah, I mean, as Light said, we got a lot of StarCraft coming up, so maybe Wednesday. No promises there. Twitter.com/Empora Yakuzaku, exclamation mark Discord in the chat. You can join myself as well as the other members of CranKy if you ever were interested You can also sign up for our events, or not sign up through there, but get information of our events through there. Other than that, buy my shirts. Where can we find you, Light?
Light_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. I do stream occasionally, whether it's ladder sessions, whether it's, thumbnail or VOD editing streams, or, just kind of chilling in Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing that with Kuro, just kind of chilling with the rest of the Ducklings. But more importantly, check out the CranKy Ducklings. All of our social medias as well as Discord are here on display right now. Hit that follow button. We are live throughout the entire week, every single week. We have plenty of StarCraft available to you. Check out our YouTube. All of our VODs are there as well. If you want to, if one of these tournaments interests you, but it's not at the best time for you, then yeah, check out our VODs, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Twitch as well. I know Twitch isn't the best site for VODs, but it's all there available to you.
No excuses.
No excuses. And if you wanna support the CranKy Ducklings, then of course you can subscribe if you want. We do provide replay packs to all of our subscribers, as well as our Patreon. Our Patreon is set up to grow our own tournaments that we run. We run amateur events every Friday. We also run Oceanic/Southeast Asian events on Saturdays. That is, of course, Grand Platypus Open. So if you want to help support StarCraft, or at least those specific scenes, amateur and oceanic, our Patreon is set up to grow them as best we can, boost the prize pool, eventually get monthly finals, and we also provide, other services as well. So yeah, if you're interested, do check that out as well.
And with that, we are going to be rating someone StarCraft related.
Yes, with that, we are done for the night. Thanks everyone for watching. We really appreciate it. We hit peak viewership without a raid. Or I guess Renegade raided us, but without like a big like Wardy raid or a big M Canning raid. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Stay tuned. We're going to be raiding another StarCraft 2 streamer. So you know what? Give them some love.
Yeah. Get the quacks out.
Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow for DreamHack Last Chance Asia qualifier.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bella.